Welcome to Third Angle, where we're engineering the future of neurosurgery. I'm your host, Paul Haimes from industrial software company PTC. In this podcast, we share the moments where digital transforms physical and meet the brilliant minds behind some of the most innovative products around the world, each powered by PTC technology. Ronna Medical is an advanced technology company based in Croatia, which specializes in medtech. Supported by PTC partner EAG, their mission is to develop robotic systems which make surgical procedures faster, safer, and more precise. Their flagship product, the Ronna system, short for Robotic Neuro-Navigation, is designed to assist neurosurgeons with unprecedented accuracy and control. Equipped with its own camera and intelligent software, it guides surgeons in procedures such as biopsies. Ronna is designed to improve the success rates and recovery times for patients at lesser costs. Our producer, Will Aspinall, visits Ronna Medical headquarters in Zagreb to meet co-founder Dr Bojan Sekoranja, a mechanical engineer with a PhD in robotics. He tells us how he helped take Ronna from a university research lab to real-world surgical success.
Hi, my name is Bojan. Welcome to Ronna. Ronna was founded as a company in 2021, and this is where our office premises were set up. We are located in Zagreb, Croatia. Our laboratories and our offices are all located here on the premise, and we will go now for a brief tour of our environment. Ronna got its name as an abbreviation for Robotic Neuro-Navigation. Robotic Neuro-Navigation is a process where we use a robot to assist the surgeon in order to be able to do an entire surgery. At this point, the Ronna is a non-invasive device. Ronna is used as a guide for the surgeon, where he places its guide in the defined trajectory by the surgeon, and the surgeon uses that guide then to reach the target points of the operation. We can go into the lab, where there's a setup of our robotic platform. Ronna as a system is comprised of multiple, let's say, parts. There's the robot arm itself with 7 degrees of freedom, placed on a mobile platform which is self-propelled and to a certain extent autonomous. And then we have the supporting other elements like a planning station that is set up for itself, where the surgeon has the interface to the planning of the entire surgery based on preoperative images on the patient. And we have a patient stabilization device which ensures greater stiffness of the system, where the patient and we have to have high accuracy of the surgery, so we need to provide additional stiffness. We're trying to solve multiple problems. Basically, when you have a human doing something, then the task is always error-prone. So we try to establish a safe working environment when even the surgeon does the operation, that the operation is relatively safe and very accurate. In current medical practice, the gold standard is using manual frames, which are set up manually, like a set of rulers, which then guide the surgeon to an exact position, because using freehand, you wouldn't be able to reach a target point with that error, which is required in neurosurgery. Humans can do very sophisticated tasks, especially very well-trained surgeons, but even they cannot freehand reach a point with sub-millimeter accuracy. The accuracy has to be in sub-millimeter range, because neurosurgery is the highest standard of accuracy you have to reach, because you have to avoid critical regions in the brain which have to stay intact in order to maintain proper function. Neurosurgery in general is very demanding in scope that if you make an error, the person can lose some function. In this, not regarding is it in brain or is it in spine, severing a nerve or damaging a region, you can lose speech, vision, or whatever. So you have to be very precise in this. To achieve this high precision, we need to develop our own hardware, our own solutions, because nothing was ready off the shelf on the market to ensure this high precision that we need. So that's why we decided to make our proprietary vision system, which we call Ronna Vision. It's actually a two-camera system with structured light, with bandpass filters and so on, and an internal computing unit, which then has software that stands on it, which then calculates everything, grabs the image, processes these images in relatively high frequencies to make it as fast as possible. Ronna Medical as a company was founded in 2021, but this is actually just the company. Ronna itself as a concept and as a project is now even older than a decade. We started research work in 2009. It was a research project done on the University of Zagreb, Faculty of Mechanical Engineering and Naval Architecture, because we didn't want to end that it ends like a lot of research projects. When they're over, they end up in a drawer somewhere and they're never heard of again. We saw a lot of potential in this. Basically, we saw that this brings benefits generally and to the medical personnel, to the patients and so on, and we didn't want it to end in a drawer. That's why we struggled to find ways to make it a company. And we succeeded in that. In 2021, Ronna as a company, as a startup, was founded, and we started employing people here at the company. Ronna is meant to be silent because it's meant to work in a busy environment of the OR, where the focus has to be on the patient and actually following what happens with the patient. It mustn't be allowed to distract the medical personnel from the task at hand. In the OR, the patient is the biggest priority, and keeping his vital signs under control and so on. The surgeon has to be focused on the surgery itself, not managing the robot with handling alerts, events, loud beeps which are distracting and so on. That's why we try to do most work, as much as work as possible that the system handles autonomously by itself. That's why we have a lot of safety measures. That's why we have a lot of self-checks. We do self-checks before the surgery to make sure in the preparation phase that nothing is going to go wrong in the operation phase. Ronna would be at this point used in a variety of neurosurgical applications, meaning, for example, we already did in clinical trials biopsies, but that's not the limit. We can also do DBS, SEG, even assist on tumor resection or whatever. So whatever is in cranial space, Ronna can assist with that task. The most simple to explain is the biopsy, is when you have some mass, suspected mass in your brain, which is shown on the imaging. Then you're not sure is this mass a cancer or a benign tissue or whatever, and the first step is to take a sample of that tissue. And the biopsy is the one that does it. The surgeon plans which part of the tissue he would like to take a sample of, and the robot then helps to reach that target point and to extrapolate the tissue for analysis. Ronna helps reduce the economic burden of the surgery by shortening the operation time itself, meaning less time under anesthesia, less time occupying the operating room, and less time occupying the surgeon who is doing the procedure itself. When you have shorter time of the procedure, then you get additional benefits. The patient was less under anesthesia, so his recovery is better. Elevated precision of the procedure leads to better clinical outcomes and so on. So this, as a whole, leads to a better recovery of the patient, better processing of the patient, and his actually reintegration as an individual after the medical intervention. In the lab, we have a lot of people working. As I mentioned, the lab is a central place for integration. So the robotic platform itself is not just the robot arm; it's the entire complex structure of 2,000 parts that all have to be moving, working together. You have a lot of embedded systems, you have industrial controllers, you have PCs, you have cameras, moving parts like motors, shafts, and so on. And it all has to come together and work harmoniously in one medical product. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, but that's why you have to do extensive testing and try everything in the lab. And that's where we actually have a big experience even before starting in medical field, in industrial environments where the robots are working 24/7 without any human presence. You actually have a supervisor that walks around every few hours, but everything has to work non-stop. So that's why we incorporate a lot of testing, a lot of checks, a lot of diagnostics, which then actually make sure everything is working as intended. In 2016, we started clinical trials. Ronna did its first biopsy operation on a patient. And from that point on, Ronna successfully did more than 50 surgeries on people. We have an idea that Ronna Medical isn't just a robot that's used in neurosurgery. We have an idea that it's an open platform that can be used for multiple purposes. The neurosurgeries, as we see as a stepping stone, as the first one that we set the benchmark because of the high precision, high accuracy demands. And if we can do that, we see that we can do a lot of other stuff, especially when you have synergies with other companies producing target-based tools that can do specific procedures. So they don't have to build it from the ground up because we already did it, but they can focus on their specific application. Being in medical robotics is challenging but also rewarding, because your work directly translates to something that's going to be beneficial for human health. So that's the very nice notion that you're not working on weapon systems or something like that's going to be used for destructive purposes, but quite the opposite. You're doing something that's going to be used to help people.
That was Dr Bojan Sekoranja, sharing Ronna Medical's vision to make precision surgery more accessible and impactful. Now it's time to meet our expert, John Haller from PTC. Hello, John. You're new to the third angle, and in fact, to PTC as well. Would you first like to introduce yourself before we talk about Ronna Medical and Windchill?
Sure. My name's John Haller. I am the general manager for PLM here at PTC. I actually was with PTC for a long time, for 12 years, left for 3 years to be chief revenue officer at A Priori, and have been back for about 2 months now.
Thank you, John. That's great. Ronna Medical are already a user of Creo and have recently deployed Windchill to be its single source of truth. That term is commonly used. Can you give an overview as to what it means and how it benefits companies such as Ronna Medical?
If we went back 15 years, you would hear PTC people talking about single source of truth with Windchill. So it's been a common theme for us for a really long time. the interesting thing over time is that our medtech customers have embraced that better than most industries because of the regulatory climate that they live in. They need to have an integration of business processes across all of design, across manufacturing, across supply chain, so that they can be in compliance with regulatory requirements around the world and make sure that they can ship products. What that means is having all your design artifacts in a single place under strict change control so that you can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that you've done everything possible to produce the highest quality product, to prove that they're in compliance with quality standards around the world. So what it really means is having good change control of all your quality processes and having all your design artifacts in a single place so that you can reuse those across all of those submissions that must be completed to get your product out faster and at better quality and cost.
Thanks to John and to Dr. Bojan and our producer Will for taking us behind the scenes of Ronna Medical. Please rate, review, and subscribe to our bi-weekly Third Angle episodes wherever you listen to your podcasts, and follow PTC on LinkedIn and X for future episodes. Companies that make products the world relies on rely on PTC. This is an 1860 production for PTC. Executive producer is Jackie Cook. Location recording by Will Aspinall. Sound design and editing by Clarissa Maycock. And music by Rowan Bishop.